Hi everyone!
Yay!
Welcome to our CD release party.
This is exciting.
It's so exciting.
I feel like you're all right here in the room with me.
Right here.
Yeah.
What?
It's just really exciting to release our third album, and I don't know, it's exciting.
Yeah, really amazing pieces by really amazing people. First of all, though, we do want to definitely thank our audio engineer, Joel Gordon.
Oh, yes.
Because Joel is just the best.
A wizard, as Cliff puts it.
You know, from my point of view, he just makes the marimba sound better than any other engineer in the world. And, you know, I feel very lucky to have him.
I'm so, absolutely blessed that we've met him and that he enjoys working with us. I can't recommend him enough to anyone who's looking to make an album.
We also want to give a huge shout out to Dan Lapel at New Focus Recordings for, taking a chance on us, several years ago on our first album, Sift, and he's just been so supportive of all of our projects ever since. This
Absolutely.
is our third album through New Focus, and Dan is just the best, and they are the best.
Yeah,
so,
Dan really gets the mission, I think, of us trying to document all of our commissioned repertoire, and is totally game, and it's been really awesome.
So tonight, we're going to play some awesome music for you. We're hoping to all listen together and enjoy this great album. So if you have headphones, please use them.
Definitely.
This will all sound way better.
I want to shout out to our composers who've already said hello. That's awesome. Thanks, guys, for being here. Yes,
totally. And as you're all listening along, please chat us up. Type in comments. We're going to have composers here to talk with us. And when they're talking, if there are things you want to ask before we start, just type it in, and we can engage with you that way.
And particularly if you have a question for composers, we have live today. We have Emily Coe, Stefanie Lubkowski, Clifton Ingram, and Barbara White all live. So if you have questions for those particular people, jump in the chat, and we'll try to address them. And then, should we bring Barbara in?
Without further ado, we want to introduce our first composer, Barbara White.
Yay!
That is awesome. Barbara,
Hello.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Thanks. Congrats to you. The piece is amazing.
So, we just want to, you're the composer that brought us together. So we read your piece, Small World, 10 years ago.
That's actually true, yeah.
And we were just so elated that you would write a piece just for us after all of that. I mean, your music has been so integral to us. So
I've always loved playing your music. You're a clarinet player, you get it, and it's just always so fun to work with you. So
yeah.
Was that a question? I forgot.
That wasn't a question. We're just being all awkward and excited.
We're just getting
excited. Oh yay!
I'm happy to listen. If you want to talk more.
You're please tell me. No. Barbara, is there anything you want to let the audience know about Fool Me Once before we begin?
Sure, I can say a little bit, and I'm so pleased that this is out on the album, and to be in your company and with the other composers, it's super, and to be in good company among the 80 composers you've commissioned, it's amazing. It's really extraordinary. So about Fool Me Once, I can tell you a couple of things. One is that you mentioned the performance of Small World, and I will speak about you now as if you're not right there. So in the third person, when I heard Matt and Amy play that piece, Small World, I was really stunned by it, and it was really fluid and unfettered, but right in the pocket and so on. And I just had this impression that they were not only unencumbered by the notation, nothing seemed square or confined, but also sort of unencumbered by what music might sound like. Just this kind of things just felt like very fresh and new. And so I had that in mind, composing Fool Me Once. And the piece actually plays with kind of an idea of confinement and freedom, so that if we think about the marimba, you can see it behind Matt, it has these things that are set in place with spaces between them, and you can't do too much about that. I'm sure you can do something because you're Matt.
Yeah, just move over.
Whereas the bass clarinet can kind of play in the cracks in some ways. And so I was thinking about that idea and working with the different characters of the instruments very much. And as Amy mentioned, since I play bass clarinet, I worked out some really unusual, perhaps difficult sounds that she just mastered. And again, they sound just like she made them up. So that's wonderful. So it really plays with the difference between the instruments, particularly toward the end with the low notes, which are a really magical thing with these two instruments, bass clarinet and marimba. And I guess the last thing I'd say is that even though the piece begins in a kind of maybe jaunty way, it is actually meant to be, it had something uncanny about it. So it's actually about feeling unsettled and uncertain, and the instruments being not quite the same as one another, not at all the same, being very different from one another. So my program note, which is on the album if you choose to acquire it, comes from Claire Massoud, her novel called The Woman Upstairs, and it has to do with this idea of the funhouse and being unsettled by the funhouse. So that was on my mind as I wrote.
Awesome.
That is what I would say.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Barbara. And now, without further ado, fool me once. Oh, yay, Barbara!
Yay!
I really hope you all listen to headphones, because that last note is just so good. That like super soft low C on the marimba, and
It's
Amy
like
doing these
really
tiny
subtle multiphonic, very quiet thing. Yeah, it's really pretty. Yeah.
Amazing. Moving forward. So the next piece on our album is called Rebounds by Jonathan Bailey Holland. And Jonathan is a great friend and colleague. We worked together at Boston Conservatory at Berkeley, and he's been nothing but supportive and remarkable in every aspect of
Such a
life.
joy to work with, Jonathan. And yeah.
And so Rebounds is a wonderful piece. The program note that's in the CD liner is a program note that I wrote, because originally Jonathan didn't really. It's the kind of piece that doesn't like need a program note. The name itself is the program note, but when we play it, like I'm really reminded of the idea of like an 18th century character piece. Not at all in the language or anything like that, but just the idea that like this piece is about rebounds. And as a percussionist, like that word just really comes up a lot in my life. But Jonathan can't join us this evening, but he was able to record a video earlier today to talk about the piece. So we're going to let Jonathan take over, and then we hope you enjoy Rebounds.
Hey there, happy to be here with everyone for the release party for Right Now in a Second. And just to say a few words about my composition Rebounds that was written for Matt and Amy specifically. The work, I believe, was inspired by an image that was on the side of the MIT Museum for a while, which was a time-lapse image of a ball bouncing. And seeing that image, I kind of wanted to try to capture that sonically, and thinking about marimba, for instance, and the fact that it doesn't sustain pitch, but if you hit the same pitch repeatedly, you can get the sense of a sustained tone. So thinking about that and the sound of wood as you re-attack it each time, and then that sort of reedy sound you get in the low bass clarinet doing kind of a similar act. And just wanting some flexibility, some ebb and flow between the two throughout the piece. And so all of that combined led to the work that you will hear on the album. So I hope that you will all run out and buy the album. And I'm really excited about the recording. They sound great, and hope you enjoy.
Yay!
I love playing that piece.
I love
Thank
that
you,
piece.
Jonathan, for writing something so awesome.
Yeah.
And it,
As always.
Jonathan's music it always just captures the right mood and the right moment, and it's always paced so perfectly. It never overstays its welcome. It always does what it needs to do, and it's just
finely
really awesome.
crafted. Yeah.
If
I love
you,
that last interjection.
If you aren't familiar with it, I highly recommend looking into Jonathan's orchestral music, because he shines as an orchestrator in a way that I think few people really do today. It's really amazing. So, up next, we have a piece that, of course, we love.
Oh, I love
By
it.
a composer
It's got
who
so
we
many
love.
clarinet solos in it. I love this piece.
I know. Yeah, this is definitely a clarinetti piece.
It's a good piece.
It's called Very Specifically Vague by Emily Coe, and we have Emily with us right now. So without further ado, let's bring in Emily!
Yay!
Hey!
Emily!
Hello! So good to see you both.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Man.
This is fun.
Yeah, I feel like it just yesterday we were, eating crepes in Knoxville.
We were in Knoxville.
One of the villas, in a
I
ville.
know.
That was our last gig.
Sorry, that was like 7 months ago?
Eek.
I guess. What is time anyway, But
Time, it's marshmallows.
I love marshmallows.
Should we talk about the piece?
We should probably do that.
Maybe we should, yeah.
Yeah, keep us online, Amy.
So, what was your inspiration for the piece?
Well, so the inspiration behind the piece was actually just Singlish syntax. So I know both of you don't speak Singlish, and I don't think anyone, really does outside of Singapore. But when we speak Singlish, there's always this specificity about what we're talking about using very, very vague terms. So, for example, we'll say something like, oh yeah, it's the round thing behind the square thing over there, without actually saying what anything is. So it's a very context-driven piece or language that I'm trying to also put it into a piece. So I guess in this piece, you both are just talking to each other, even though you don't really speak Singlish, but now you do.
I feel like we do. I feel like we actually are very vague sometimes. That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm always saying things like, do the thing with the stuff.
Literally that.
Yeah, you're like, what are you talking about?
And he's like, why didn't you do the thing with the stuff?
Yeah.
Exactly. And when you talk to people you know well enough, you can do that. And that's a very beautiful thing, I think. It's like your own language almost.
It's supposed to work for it to be beautiful. Okay. We have to talk maybe during the break to ourselves and figure out our relationship goals.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Emily, thank you so much for joining us. And we hope you all enjoy Very Specifically Vague. Bye, Emily.
Bye.
Emily! Woo!
Love that.
Oh, man. Love playing that piece.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just, we're so happy about these recordings.
It's just, yeah.
Speaking of being happy about recordings, I am so excited for this next piece, Cold Column Calving by Clifton Ingram. Cliff is a really close friend of ours. He and I actually play D&D every week through Skype, and it's what keeps me sane. And we've been friends since he was at Boston Conservatory, and he's one of the smartest, kindest, most talented people I know on the planet. And his piece, these pieces are all amazing. His piece to me this recording is super special because the recording captures something that you almost can't get in a live performance unless it is a perfect concert hall. And having this piece like just right up in your ears is the best.
Yeah, it's such a different experience. Both versions are great, but this album, I'm just so glad we recorded this. And Joel just did an amazing job getting this, all the nuance out of this one.
So instead of us stumbling over how this piece was written and what it's about and all that brilliance, we're going to let Cliff speak for himself. So, Cliff, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hey.
Good to be here.
Yeah. Great to have you.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Like, what's the story with this piece?
Well, as I guess usual, there's like way too many things. It's all sort of. When I tend to write music, I tend to really just sort of maybe shoot the moon a bit. I used to watch this YouTube video of this footage of like a glacier calving, which is like basically like unattaching itself from the glacier, like a huge chunk coming off. That was the size of Manhattan. And I would do this when I got like writer's block, or if I was just too tired to keep working on stuff, and just be like, whoa, just to sort of stun myself into getting out of my own head, I suppose. And besides that, it was just something that sort of I would return to over and over and again, because environmentalism is important, everyone. So this is sort of an environmentalist piece where it's about this glacier sort of coming apart. But it's more than that, because at the end of it, it comes out, it like floats off, becomes like an iceberg, right? And now it's sort of a human problem, or a problem for humans. And so the way that I think that happens, or one of the things you might listen for, is that at the beginning of the piece, the clarinet and the marimba sort of occupy different. The marimba is occupying like high in its range, and the clarinet's low in the range. And by the end of the piece, the piece is sort of calved. The music is flipped over and inverted. So it's just like a general narrative is just there's voice exchange over 10 minutes. But at the beginning, they're really sort of, the way I was writing it and feeling about it is that the music is really sort of indifferent to each other. Like the layers aren't really joined together as much as they are in the end. And so that's the sort of becoming a sort of human problem, or the music sort of becomes more expressive by the end of it. And it turns into this sort of an arrangement of sorts, where it's all garbled. I don't know if I should call it an arrangement. Any fault with the this quote is my fault. But it's this old anonymous lament called "Go Heart Hurt with Adversity," and actually I have an image that I wanted to share, because by the end of it, it becomes, the last section is called "Landscape Shaped Like a Face," and so I have this photo, and hopefully we can get this to work.
Yeah,
it should be.
It is up now.
Yeah, so hopefully people are seeing that there's this sort of drawing. It's like Wenceslas Haller from, I think the beginning of the 17th century. He was sort of a pupil or of sorts of Dürer from the 16th century. And so like, it's this highly mannerist stylized thing where there's this landscape, right? And it looks like a human face from the right perspective. And so that's sort of just something that I'm fascinated by, with this sort of period of visual art, and having to get the right perspective. And so the music sort of moves perspective in order to get there, is sort of the goal, I suppose. So like I said, way too many things. But the most important thing maybe is that it's very quiet, so go ahead and crank those headphones up. Yeah, anything I missed? Did I miss anything?
I mean,
No,
we
it's
could talk
amazing.
about this for another hour, but
And I love whenever you talk about it. I feel like I learn something every time.
definitely.
I feel
love
like
that
yeah.
art.
There's every time I introduce this piece when I get to do so with you guys, it's always just like, oh, I don't think I've ever mentioned this part before.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I hope you enjoy. I like you've been saying, your playing is beautiful on it, but Joel really,
It's all
oof.
Joel.
Yeah. It's not
All
all
Joel.
Joel.
Joel played the parts. No, he didn't.
Yeah, Joel played
Joel played all the
pulled a Paul
instruments. He's
McCartney,
like,
pulled
yeah.
Paul McCartney. He came in and recorded it. Cool. Awesome. So, Cliff, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And
Thank
everyone,
you.
we hope you enjoy Cold Column Calving.
Thank you.
Cliff.
Yeah.
Whew.
That's like the coolest altissimo stuff. It is just, I mean, playing it live is amazing too, because you can actually feel the energy in the room shifting. But the recording, it captures all the detail. It's just, yeah.
We've gone on a journey. Speaking of a journey, the next piece on the album is called Resonance Imaging by Crystal Pascucci. And we might have played this piece in concert more than any other piece that's ever been written for us.
It's kind of our go-to if we're teaching as well. It's a great way to kind of showcase like a lot of different sounds that we can make together. But we've performed it a lot on tour.
It's just so powerful.
Yeah, exactly.
We met Crystal because back in 2015, like early on in our touring career.
Probably like our very second tour, maybe, right? Our second time or third time touring ever.
Yeah,
it was like really in the early days for us.
We went to San Francisco and we did a residency with a group called the Guerrilla Composers Guild. And wonderful people. We collaborated on pieces with some amazing composers who were doing amazing things now, like John Yu and Crystal and Danny Clay. And it was such a wonderful experience. And this piece is so personal. Do you want to talk about it?
I could, yeah. So, sorry that she couldn't join us today, but yeah, Crystal was basically writing about her experience with lupus, especially when she was younger and a child and going to hospitals a lot and spending a lot of time in MRI machines. And this piece is sort of about not only just evoking the sounds of those machines, but evoking the feeling of the different emotions that she would go through in these machines, especially as a young child, not really knowing what's going on, the fear of being trapped and having to be still, the claustrophobia and the anxiety, and also just the anxiety surrounding having a disease like lupus and not knowing, So I think it's an incredible piece. It really does do all the things that it set out to do, and I feel like it does take you on this journey of all these different emotional reactions that one might have in this situation. It's very personal.
And so, without further ado, we give you Resonance Imaging by Crystal Pascucci. Crystal!
Hey, Crystal!
Oh,
Such a fun one.
you know, it's really, it was wonderful working with Crystal. I mean, she's mostly a performer and an improviser. She's a cellist based in the Bay Area, and you also should check her out. Go to her website. I mean, she's in a couple of really amazing bands.
I think she also released another album today as well.
Yeah, I think her group. Yeah.
She's doing stuff.
And I have to say that no percussion instruments were harmed in the recording of that piece because, believe it or not, all those like scrapey sounds were me playing on the resonators and on the sides of the marimba because, you know, I don't want to schlep other stuff. But sometimes, if people ask really nicely, I will schlep other things. This next piece by Stefanie Lubkowski, right now in a second. I know, I'm such a drummer.
That was an amazing transition.
Right?
Keep going.
I have to admit, there is a snare drum in this piece.
Oh my gosh, that's not a marimba.
But when you hear the bowing, I promise it's not actually a vibraphone, it is in fact the marimba. Stefanie just wrote for the marimba so well that it sounds beautiful and crystal clear. Stefanie, like everyone on this album, it seems, is one of our absolute best friends. And you've known her for 16 years.
I know,
right?
we talked about that recently. I can't believe that.
I mean, you know, she's such a remarkable, stalwart staple, both as an artist and as a concert goer and as a friend and here in the Boston music scene. And it was absolutely our pleasure today to collaborate with her. So without further ado, we're going to bring on Stefanie Lubkowski.
Hello, Stefanie.
Hi. Oh, this is so exciting.
It's so fun to have you here. And actually, I forgot we were going to say, but we did this collaboration at Avaloq Music Farm Institute, which was such a treat.
That was amazing. It was so amazing to spend. We spent what, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Just hanging out, working on the piece. I wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. I think I wrote like 9 minutes of music in 2 weeks, which I've never done before. And it was just the best collaboration ever.
It was awesome. And then we got to do a lot of back and forth, and then we played it at Avaloq, and then you like edited it, and then we performed it again, and you edited it again, and it just like became this like finely crafted crystal. It like really worked.
Right. Yeah. And I think I'm so proud of the way it came out because of the fact that we could really work it until it was just right, and then to have Joel record it and get those sounds just right.
It's incredible because there's just so much the complication of like the different instruments working together and the layering. And I know because I was in the room, it was a lot of work, and he just nailed it. It was just awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you want the audience to know about this piece before they give it a listen?
Well, my idea for this piece started out with really just digging into some of the awesome sounds you guys can make and the way that those sounds blend together and the way that you blend those sounds together so well. And then, you know, as the ideas grew, it grew into this sort of state of wanting to create something where the listener would just bask in the moment of the sound, but that there would also be a forward trajectory, you know, pushing the piece forward, you know, to maybe have like a narrative or at least a sense that you started out in one place and ended in another. And that's kind of how I got the title too. At the time I was watching all these like ASMR relaxation videos to deal with insomnia, and in one of my favorite videos there was a moment where the woman in the video says right now in a second, like this is what I'm going to do right now, but it's also happening in a second. And that whole idea of like being able to capture your attention and be so in the moment, but also following a narrative or a trajectory, it's a really fascinating state to have both of those things happen in your mind simultaneously.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
And I think at one performance, I know, Amy, you mentioned the movie Decasia, which
I was just going to say that.
and which we all watched together, and it's a film that is composed completely of excerpts from other films in which the film stock has started to deteriorate, so the images are altered. And I think that's a really good sort of counterpart to the piece, because in that film I feel like you're immersed in just looking at these amazing images and the way they've been altered, but as you progress through the film, you realize that even though there's no narrative, you are being given a message, that there is a point and a careful way that these images sort of unfold over time, and that they all kind of add up to something. And I think that's sort of the goal of Right Now in a Second as well.
I love that, and obviously, I mean, not obvious to everyone here, but to you and I, we took that idea and we went with it for the cover as well, and that's why the cover has this like kind of like decaying idea around it. Beautifully drawn by Vicky Leona, who is a graphic designer and composer and percussionist. Also, just wanted to shout out. But thank you for that, like, inspiration in the piece, and also for like the whole theme of the album. That's really cool.
I couldn't be happier with this. This is just like start to finish. This was an amazing experience, and the recording is just fantastic. And
really it's amazing. We can't wait for everyone to hear it. So
yeah, we can. So
we should do that. Yay!
Thanks for joining us, Stefanie. And without further ado, we give you all Right Now in a Second.
Thank you, Stefanie. Bye.
Yeah. Oh, man.
It just brings me back to Avaloq every time I hear that, actually.
Such a beautiful journey. So many great sounds. If you watch us play it, I promise that like everything in this piece we do live. None of it is layered. It's when you watch us play it, I have like these 2 music stands. And I'm just like putting down bows, picking up mallets, and it's like a dance to play this thing.
Good? Okay.
You know?
Come
Yeah.
back.
Oh, sorry. Arms flailing.
The stray arm is scary.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely. You look awkward when you're playing that piece.
Hey, I like to think I'm graceful.
It's very graceful.
Yeah, Keith, you're
is
here!
here!
Oh my gosh, he's here!
Oh, we should go live with Keith.
He made a video.
He
It's
made
a
a
good
video.
video. Keith, we're glad you're here. Okay, so
Call me
Our
on the phone
last-
if you'd rather go live.
our last piece on this album is called Monochrome by Keith Kirchoff. And it is the oldest piece on the album, having come from 2014.
Whoa, that's a long time ago.
I know.
The oldies.
That was... man, we were so young then.
Oh, yeah, that was like, okay.
This piece is awesome, and it's virtuosic and rhythmic, and sorry, Keith. I love playing it. Keith is a brilliant composer and pianist, and one of our absolute best friends and board game buddies. He and I are actually in a quartet together called Hinge, which is a saxophone, piano, electric guitar, percussion quartet. And he's one of the best pianists I know. I love his playing. And when he wrote the piece, I have to think that maybe he was thinking that the marimba was a piano, because his chords stretch really far.
He's not here to defend himself.
I know,
Well,
this is
guess
the
on the
perfect
chat.
time.
If
But
you
it works-
see
it
us
works-
live, it's actually kind of awesome, because as the piece progresses, by the end, Matt is just like...
At the very end, the very last chord, I play the bottom C sharp and the top C of the marimba, so my arms are spread out and I'm hitting notes that are 8 feet apart.
Alcatraz.
All for you, Keith. It's really great. It's a lot of fun. And we hope you enjoy Monochrome. But before we start, here is a word from Keith.
Hi, my name's Keith Kirchoff, and I'm the composer of Monochrome. I want to thank all of you for tuning in this evening for the CD release party of Transient Canvas's newest album. I've listened to this a few times already now, and I am just over the moon with excitement over how good this whole album sounds. I could not be happier with their performance of Monochrome, and I'm so honored to be included on this fantastic project. So thank you to Matt and Amy for doing such a great job representing not just my work, but the work of all the composers on here. So thank you. When Matt and Amy first asked me to write Monochrome way back in 2013, I spent a lot of time listening to all of their recordings that they had online at the time. So a lot of YouTube videos, lots of live performances, and of course I had played with them each independently as well. I'm a pianist, and we're all in the Boston area, and so we had collaborated in just a variety of different settings. And I was really struck listening to their performances about how there was a certain type of music I thought they played extremely well, particularly things that were sort of rhythmic and groovy. This ensemble is tight, and I was really, really struck over and over listening to their pieces and their performances about how tight they really could be. And so that sort of encouraged me to try exploring something a little bit more rhythmic, a little bit more tightly knit, that where they have to really play off of each other and just stay really tight together. Just a quick mention about the title, Monochrome. Up to that point, with a lot of the music I had been writing, I was feeling it was a little schizophrenic. I had been listening to, admittedly, a lot of John Zorn, and George Antheil has always been one of my favorite composers, particularly his violin sonatas. And with those works, there's a really a schizophrenic nature to them as well, where you hear just a short idea and a quick cut to another idea and a quick cut to another idea. And I was really seeing that displayed kind of over and over in a lot of the pieces I was writing. And so I wanted to challenge myself to do something the opposite, to take a single idea and try spreading that idea out over an entire piece. So monochrome then is a single concept, just these short rhythmic cells of either groups of 3 or 4, and there it is. So I hope you enjoy the piece, and again, congratulations to Transient Canvas for such a fantastic album.
Big arms.
That's what Matt looks like at the end, so I just thought, do it again. Yay!
Thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Keith, for writing such an awesome ending to the program. And
so energetic.
If you enjoyed what you heard, please, buy a copy on Bandcamp or iTunes or wherever you listen. You can get actual CDs if you want. Which
we
is
have
cool.
some.
Yeah,
we have them ready
The
for
album
you.
art is gorgeous, and they make great coasters.
Dude, just think about, you could put your beer right there.
But yeah.
And it's nice because there's all the notes and stuff, and there's really beautiful design, which I guess is too bright to see, but the design is really beautiful by Mark Wolf at New Focus, and yay!
Absolutely. So, thanks again for joining us. Thanks to our awesome composers for being your awesome selves. And thank you for spending a little bit of time with us. So, you all have a great night, and we will see you sometime.
We're doing another show on November 4th, actually. So, I think we all know what the day before that is, and if you feel like you need a place to come and enjoy some music, we're going to be doing another set on November 4th that is a totally different show. So, check it out. It's on our website. And we'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Bye. Vote.